Okay, so we're back in Suzerain. We are not doing too great. I'd say we're not going to die. I don't think we're going to be overthrown or have to deal with anything too horrible. Kind of this expansion of high-tech weapons industry. Very nice. But unfortunately, the war never happened. I don't think it's ever going to happen. There just wasn't a chance. I was not prepared enough. I didn't read, obviously. I didn't spoil myself. So the war is probably never going to happen. I'm sure somebody is going to feel a little bit bad about that. I thought that diplomacy would do it. I mistakenly thought that, since I'm the, like, Iraq in the situation, I figured, move that forward a little bit. There we go. I just figured that it would be, you could solve it with diplomacy, but like I said, with the Iraq in the situation, so obviously that's not going to happen. Anyway, Security Council meeting. As I entered the study, the dim light cast long shadows across the room, illuminating my father's figure hunched over the desk. He sat with his back to me. Flickering candlelight danced across the map spread out before him. The region of Zeal, marked in bold lines, seemed to draw his gaze like a magnet. My father's finger gripped the edge of the map with white-knuckle intensity. I could see the pain etched on his face. The scent of alcohol hung heavy in the air. A single tear rolled down his cheek. It was the first time that I had ever seen my father cry, and the sight struck me to my core. I stood frozen in the doorway as the weight of his sorrow over the loss of Zeal filled the room like a heavy fog. Good afternoon, Your Majesty. I'm pleased you could join us. I'm assuming that that was like a flashback, and now here we go. Yeah, back to reality. Her words brought me back to reality as I entered the council chamber, reminded that I was here for a security briefing. Lucida, which is what I assume her name is pronounced as, and Titus promptly arose from their seats. Some voice acting in this game would go a long way, I must say. Please try to contain your excitement. What is pressing matters await our distinguished gathering. Always a pleasure to be here. So what have you got for me today? Good afternoon. Hope this won't take long. Skip the pleasantries and get to what while we're here. Always a pleasure to be here. What have you got for me? We're to go over the latest updates regarding the transfer of Zeal to Rizian governance. Hopefully at least this works out for me, right? With your permission, we'll begin. Not an approval. As you're aware, Wayland's 3-year probationary period, as Smolak called it, is coming to an end. If they uphold our agreement, we could see a peaceful transfer of governance in a few months. If being the key word. I have faith in Wayland's fidelity to their pledge. I trust you share this sentiment. Yes, Smolak doesn't have the most reliable track record when it comes to keeping his promises. What are the chances he'll follow through, though? He's all bark, no bite. When he delayed transfer, he wouldn't go as far to completely derail it. Don't you agree? Smolak, I think we're on Smolak's good side here. We've kind of acceded to what he wanted. We gave him what he wanted. Smolak's one of those guys, like I said earlier in a different video, a different stream, was that if you work with him, if you can kind of show that you're amenable to him and you treat him with the respect he thinks he deserves, you can kind of get a good deal out of him. He doesn't have the most reliable track record when it comes to keeping his promises. What do you think chances will follow through? Here's where we were regarding the progress on Zeal's return, Your Majesty. I can only speak with the authority about security-related terms of your agreement. You are upholding the border ban you agreed on. Our Navy is still engaged in blockading ships carrying potential BFF terrorists from Wayland's southern mainland. I believe we are on track to meet the terms set in our agreement 3 years ago, but you would know best. I might add that I don't see Smolak taking kindly to His Majesty's pending marriage to Duke Ricardus. With all that in mind, as he's just discussing our contingency plan for getting Zeal back should our agreement fail. I must say, pessimism doesn't suit you, Titus, but fine, let's indulge some of the worst-case scenario planning. I fail to see the necessity of such discussions. Agreed, let's explore our options, no need. I have the utmost confidence in our success. Agreed, let's explore our options here. You don't want to, like, unnecessarily make Titus feel bad, right? The way I see it, we can either approach this diplomatically or, if necessary, take a more aggressive stance. Well, we don't need to do anything until he says no. If he says no, I should say. Let's start by discussing the options that present the lowest risk of open conflict. I'd like to hear our less than diplomatic approaches. Let's begin with the diplomatic approach. I want to explore alternatives that prioritize our position firmly. Let's begin with a diplomatic approach. We don't have a lot of options. We could revisit sending in the ATA. Our advocacy for Rizian values and culture could garner support. People tend to value having a say in things shaping their own destiny. Oh no, I don't need. No, it's not gonna. The ATA, all of that is waste of time. I'm not gonna do anything. I don't know why the game is really pushing me to go against Smolak here. I figured leave things alone, and if it becomes a problem, then you do something about it. Until then, there's no sense in trying to make it a mess. Crown's relationship with Suomana isn't great, to put it mildly. What are you talking about? We have a pretty good relationship with Suomana, considering. But we've been kind of using them as a tool occasionally, and occasionally we, bring the heat down on them, but they're a useful tool for us. By framing this as a strategic partnership, we could show them how our goals align with theirs, stability and prosperity for Zeal. Or what? I don't understand what, like I don't want to do any of these things. Just do what we're doing now. Why do I have to change anything? Situation may demand bold actions. Okay, let's not make any promises anywhere. The momentum behind Zeal's reunification with Rizia is almost non-existent, really. Okay. Are you telling me no one wants to reunify because they haven't spent money on it? Really? Okay. Okay. Thank you. It's good information knowing forward. What are your thoughts on those? No. Let's hold off for now before we determine our course of action. Because once again, Zeal is separated from Wayland by the sea. We can invade and just hold it with our navy and air force. If that's what we need to do, we can do that. I don't know why we're playing, we're doing all sorts of stuff. Just don't be stupid. Very well, thank you for all your assessments. Let's call it a day. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to contribute. Okay, she remained behind. Something in your mind, Duchess? Teasing smile adorned Lucida's face. Just thought I'd see what your plans are for the rest of the day and if you needed company. So I got a lot on my mind now. I want to be alone. I thought you'd ever ask. I don't know. My schedule's pretty busy, but I'm sure I can find time to fit you in. I don't want to alienate her, but I also... let's just say I can find time to fit you in. We left the council room to retire in my private quarters shortly thereafter. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, my. Spicy. Anticipation and anxiety mounts as Zeal's transfer of governance nears. Well. Palace border fortification has been completed, so we're a little bit safer on that front. What's this? Zaro Noble's present at equipment factory opening. Fantastic. So we got some more equipment going down. We are okay. We have no authority. I don't know why. Lost territorial integrity, multiple provincial protests, weakening traditions, power production. Okay. So basically, I'm weak. I'm not a very strong king, but I do got a lot of money. Look at that. Plus 10. I got bank. And the energy's okay. The hydroelectric is almost finished. Lesbia? Diplomatic meeting with Lesbia. When we arrived at Perla, the press surged at me like a relentless horde, shoving their cameras and microphones my way. Their shouts and pleas for attention clashed against the stoic demeanor of the lesbian security guards. These guards, clad in crisp, dark uniforms, formed a protective barrier around us, their eyes scanning for any reporter daring enough to breach their formation. Our convoy commenced its journey, a series of black, sleek cars gliding through the bustling streets of Perla. As our convoy eared to a stop at the entrance of the yellow house, I stepped out onto the cobblestone driveway. The building itself was a small but imposing structure of classical design, its yellow painted walls standing out boldly against the greenery of the park. I was led into the waiting room, a space with an understated elegance, furnished with leather chairs and a mahogany table, with sunlight filtered through the lace curtains, casting soft patterns on the floor. Okay, so we're meeting Alvarez today. My attention was captured by a mysterious-looking teapot. Inspect the teapot. It's engraved with intricate designs, delicate floral patterns interwoven with abstract shapes. It reminded me of medieval resined motifs. It's definitely made out of Rizian gold, and looks far too ancient for its well-maintained shape. I wonder if it was an original Rizian artifact or an unrelated gift from another foreign dignitary. Whatever it was, I questioned why such a valuable artifact was left out in the open like this. But then again, there are those who were allowed in the room, world leaders and people of stature, will probably have the common sense not to disturb such a priceless relic. As I stood there absorbed in thought, the doors opened, and Prime Minister Alvarez came in. I see you immediately spotted your kingdom's gold, Your Majesty. It is an ancient resident artifact uncovered in southern Lesbia. Quite a valuable item, I've been told. Ah, forgive me. He offered his hand and I shook it. Please, let's get comfortable when we discuss our matters. So, Your Majesty, it's good to see you again. I don't know why I'm meeting with this guy, to be honest. Despite your attempts to block our efforts in Morella, I must add. We don't need our agreement with the Prime Minister Solana with our relations with Lesbia. Well, I'm here to discuss all of that today. Good to see you too, Prime Minister Alvarez. I'm not going to give this guy anything. Let's dive straight into it, Your Majesty. I would have preferred to have reached an agreement on the predicament we have with the ITZ. I take the liberty to say that you started quite a mess by casting your vote the way you did. You were allowing the government to take control of their shares in the operation just like that. It's screwing us over, Your Majesty. It's as simple as that. Oh, okay. It could be past mistakes. No, it was not a mistake when I did that to you, you piece of crap. Nobody's trying to screw over anyone. I'm just taking the options that are in the best interest of Rizia. You screwed me out of the gas fields. So, go to hell. Look, Mr. Alvarez, there's no hostility from Rizia towards Lesbia. However, you must finally learn that Rizia is not going to be bullied. You're saying it's really that easy to screw over Lesbia? I'm just telling you I'm just telling you what you have done and how we perceive it. His face turned expressionless. Yeah, go drink some more alcohol. You must really be desperate to team up with the commies. Well, in any case, as long as you continue working with them, you cannot expect Lesbian Parliament to sympathize with Rizia. Oh, wow, okay. He tapped his fingers aggressively on the table. We will sabotage the deal. I'll hand the Prime Minister Sultana so we both keep our shares, and thus we'll have the doors open for us to develop a strategic partnership with Rizia. No. I'll take your word for it, Mr. Alvarez. Don't worry, that resolution will not reach the light of day. It's a binding promise, apparently. Fat chance on that one. I'm afraid I cannot do that. I'll keep that in mind, but I give you no promises. What's done is done. I believe we've been through this. Let's talk about other matters. Just think about it. You can't seriously believe working with Mr. Hagel will be beneficial for Rizzi in the long term. It has been, comparatively to working with you. You've caused us nothing but problems. He walked to a wooden cabinet full of alcohol bottles. Would you like a drink? I'm fine, thanks. He poured whiskey for himself and sat back down in front of me. Well then. You know, Wayland is starting to create a lot of problems for the region. I have serious stability concerns. Yeah, I don't care. Your allies are complicit in this instability as much as I support any actions against the Wezek government, as well as any substantial support for movements such as the Bloodish rebels. This only resulted in President Smolak extending his powers and conducting a massive military operation right on our doorstep. And Lesbia also has a considerable number of Bloodish people living within our borders. We don't want the problems of Swordland and Wayland to spread to our country. The Wezek seized assets of their companies and sent the wave of refugees towards our borders. They're escalating the problem. Oh, that's awesome. Great. I love Smolak. What an asshole. Be careful when you're dealing with President Smolak. He's getting increasingly out of hand. With all due respect, how is this new information? You're already aware of our situation with him, Mr. Alvarez. I know, he really is an intriguing man. With all due respect, how is this new information? You got me there. It's not. I'm also worried about Vagus Land's increasing pressure on the region. Hegel is increasingly looking for partners to sway towards the CSP and fuel incidents to create division in Eastern Marcopa. You do a good enough job of that all by your lonesome, my friend. They have unfortunately shown that they are quite capable of inciting revolutions in Rika and beyond. Where the heck is Rika? Be careful who you're dealing with, Your Majesty. You may be playing into their hands. I don't think Valgos land poses any direct threat to Rizia. Don't worry, I know exactly what I'm dealing with. Of course, you would say that the ATO would like us to believe there's some sort of a red threat. I'm sorry, but I don't intend to play games of ATO or CSP. Your comments are quite uncalled for. Why are you telling me this? Thanks for your advice. Thanks for your advice. You might not see it yet, but I believe he intends to take Helge land by force, igniting a series of conflicts that we may find ourselves in the middle of. Where the heck is this? Oh, that's... Okay, so that's a country up in the north, I think. I know you have the ear of Queen Livingston. He took a sip of his glass and turned to me with a serious face. Okay, so you want me to be your errand boy, your messenger here. Grace is an important force in the continent, and I hope you'll be on the side of peace if it ever comes down to that. Listen, if you want me to work with you, you're going to need to give me some of the gas. It's as simple as that. Grace is also worried about the expansion of the Cortana Security Pact. We are aligned on that matter. Don't try to bring Grace into this. We do not have a military alliance, nor hold the keys to peace. At this rate, Greece has turned into nothing but Rumberg's playground. That's not the case for us. And you would also argue that it is your alliance that stands in the way of peace and is escalating. You're scared of Rumberg will jump on the opportunity of Vulgus Land's attack at Ignolia? Why should that even matter to me? Yes, it is you who stop peace. Are you really sympathetic to the very people who wanted to oppose your whole family and political traditions if they got the chance? So do you. Well, anyway, we were normalizing our relations with Rumberg, and I just want to say that I wanted to talk to King Beatrice about all this face to face. Can you extend your support in organizing such a visit? It would make things much smoother. No. Absolutely not. Okay. Thanks anyway. No, not thanks anyway. That's remarkable that you think you'd talk to me for that. For me. Was there anything else we could do for each other? You could die, maybe. I request financial assistance from Lesbia. Maybe we could talk about a financial trade deal. I believe not. Let's see what the trade deal has. I'm not sure if we can offer any extra money for the Rizian economy at the moment. Not for a moment to think, unless you want to give us something that will make the ATO really happy. Kalikabiz. Let's be interested in leasing the island for the ATO. What's your offering price? 7 billion. I don't know if that's a lot. Plus 5 budget? No, I don't need that budget like that. No, I believe not. There's nothing else that I want from you. Go away. Or I'll go away, whichever. What a jerk. I'm surprised he called me of all people. I guess that's just, like, no matter what happens, they call you in. Okay, so we have no authority, so we can't even really do anything, I think. Because you need authority to do something, right? Do anything. I should say, oh, you can do energy sales, but I don't need to do that. Yeah, we can't build anything. What a shame. Port Trazon, the council meeting. I passed the gardens of the palace towards the council chambers to meet with the council. Uncle Hugo greeted me in front of the doors. Your Majesty? Councilors are waiting for you to go along with Lady Regent. We should go in. He opened the door and held it open for me as I entered the side. Councilors were already seated around the table, deep in conversation. When they noticed us enter, everyone rose from their seats. Please have a seat. Councilors nodded and took their seats. Before we begin, I want to extend my blessings for the upcoming royal marriage. Oh, thank you. Congratulations, Your Majesty. May God bless the union between you and Rico Torres. Thank you, Grand Wise Man. She smiled and bowed her head to Sal in respect. Now that Your Majesty is here, we can start our session. I want to share some quick notes, if you allow me. According to reports, living standards have increased immensely over the last years. The majority of our citizens are quite happy with the way things are going. There are also major concerns from labor leaders who seem to try and organize the workers to strike. Well, they're living standards are going up, so who cares, right? Current working conditions are pushing many to their side. Really? Thank you, Lady Regent, for sharing the reports you received. I guess we're kind of turning out like 1960s Japan, unfortunately. Well, the economy's doing good, but it's not really working for the people necessarily, so there's lots of angry unions. While I can acknowledge the problematic conditions within our industries, the situation is not at all bleak as your report suggests, because she's a bit of a coward, honestly. I wish I could give the position to somebody else at this point, because she's way too performist. Like, there is no, she'll destroy the monarchy as soon as she takes power, basically. Please explain what you mean by that, Ms. Warner. Business leaders are already not very happy with the situation, so refrain from talking about the concerns of the workers at the moment. Why is this even relevant? You said the situation is not as all bleak as your report suggested. That you tell me that the business leaders are angry? I'm sorry, but some of the stuff in this DLC kind of doesn't like connect, right? Like, you can tell like that, like the programming or like the tree or like decisions or whatever just kind of like, it's weird. Your lack of compassion for the workers is quite disturbing, Miss Warner. What am I, Hegel? I appreciate your counsel, Miss Warner, but I disagree. Don't worry, I trust your judgment. Let's go with that. I am the perfect brown noser. I believe we can continue the meeting. Yes. What would you like to talk about first, Your Majesty? Lorento, Foreign Affairs? Of course, Your Majesty. Our relations with Lesbia are deteriorating rapidly. Our meeting with Prime Minister Alvarez didn't go exactly as planned. Yeah, I know. He was thinking he was getting an introduction from me to Queen Beatrice. Lesbia is an important partner and potential threat. They are not a partner of mine. Another important point is a scheduled meeting with the Wizard President. Your Majesty will have a chance to talk with President Smolak about the situation with Zeal. I'm going to bring up yet another unexpected request or a security issue. Regardless of his theatrics, we should do our best to reach the final resolution to ensure the swift return of Zeal. If all else fails, we can bring it up in the upcoming Alliance of Nations session. Thank you for your advice. All means are to be considered to get Zeal back. Don't worry, I'll handle him. It doesn't matter what Smolak thinks. It does, it belongs to us. Don't worry, I'll handle him. On the other hand, our trade relations with Morella are very positive. The final vote on the MITZ issue, which will take place at the start of next year, will be the defining factor for our long-term relations with them. Great, the whole MITZ thing has taken too long. At this point, I couldn't care less about our relations. Don't care. What's more important is that we get a result that is in our national interest. That will be my priority. Exactly. We'll be really in a good strategic place. We need to play everybody off of each other. That's the one thing I have, really. Our relationship with Rizia, on the other hand, has not changed much, and their hostility towards the region hasn't ceased. Their clashes with Morella and Wayland still a major concern. Well, it's inevitable. They are the gay Taliban, after all. The fact that both they and Rumberg are rumored to be supporting the Bluish Freedom Front is an important factor in our relations with Wayland. Oh, and Spring Wiseman has balanced the letter of condemnation, criticizing what he calls our continued oppression of the gold contests. In the PS section of the letter, we discovered a gold contest curse. I'm not going to take advice from a heretic who distorts our faith to reach their dark aims. May the divine God save their souls. And last but not least, Palace. But your Majesty is already aware of the situation with them. The Griner are getting increasingly close to Lesbia, well, big surprise in that one. And since the crisis we've had with them, their relationship has only grown faster. This has brought Palace directly into the hands of the ATO. This is a significant development that can disturb the balance of power in the region. It's already too late. There's nothing we can do about that. He's not going to work with us. He hates me and I hate him. Damn, Axel. That's all for the overview, Your Majesty, but there's one thing I wanted to discuss with you. Despite it no longer being your initial intention, we may still be able to bring our neighbors together in a potential regional alliance. The collaboration and interdependency we have formed thus far make this a viable strategy we can potentially pursue. Tell me more about this. The current relations with our neighbors and the increasing pressure on the region both by the CSP and the ATO, we have the perfect window of opportunity. More gas is a potential bargaining chip that we have. We can provide cheaper gas to other neighbors, connecting their economies even further. Relations with Morella aren't as bad as they used to be. Maybe a potential partner for us in the region. I guess I should have been weaker. Maybe if I was weaker on the gas fields. And played that a bit smarter, we could maybe go with this option. This could have worked, especially if I had went and met with Axel personally back in the starting thing. The region is looking for more energy sources. Yes, yes, yes. And we're still on good terms with Rumberg and Grace, but the geographical proximity limits the benefits we can get out of the relationship. I don't think it's going to happen. No. No, yeah, for one, as number 3 says, we're not ready to clash with superpowers. I don't trust Lesbia at all. I don't trust Palace. I kind of trust Morella to a degree, and I sort of maybe kind of occasionally trust Smolak, but that's it. There's no one else in the region who you really like. It's just stupid. It would work. You shouldn't disturb the power dynamics by forming a separate pact. I want an update on the military situation. The armed forces needs investments. We're completely behind in terms of our military capabilities. Really? Well, good thing I didn't go to war. We currently field a large number of infantry divisions. We can only field 3 mechanized support divisions that are specifically trained to support the assaults of our infantry and armor division. The numbers we have make it very difficult to defend ourselves in the case of military conflict. Really? Oh, as hell. Okay, so significantly lower than our neighbors for tanks as well. The Air Force is quite capable in contesting the regional powers. Our fleet has the capability to contest our immediate neighbors at critical locations if the need arises. Our submarines can also provide support when necessary, although we don't have many of them, they can still cause a considerable amount of damage. Very well. Thanks for the overview. How about the economy? The economy, stupid. Elena took out a large notebook and placed it on the table and opened it up. As already mentioned, the living standards in Rizia are a very healthy position as a result of a combination of economic policies. We have a very significant amount of money flowing into the economy. This is a great indicator for the future. We also have enough resources to experiment with and plan more projects. You turn the page. We set a focus for a mixed approach to balance the Rizian economy between resources and other industries when used into the throne. In terms of our energy situation, we have a very rigid energy economy with a heavy reliance on certain resources. As long as our access to resources remains, this means a stronger future. However, the negative effects of the crisis still loom, since our production capacity still suffers. Thank you for sharing this. In light of the recent slowdown in our economic growth rate, with the looming forecast suggesting the potential onset of a recession next year, we are observing a notable decline in investment activities. This downturn is harming new businesses and forcing cutbacks, resulting in shrinking job market and posing serious challenges to our economic stability, especially for small and medium enterprises. Oh, interesting. So we can do some stuff here. Well, quite a bit. There must be additional strategy we can employ. We have reserves in the treasury. Let's strategically invest them to bolster the economic standing. Allocate several billion guilders to mitigate the economic downturn. We have enough cash to do that. This is disconcerting news. I'm counting on you. Let's allocate the guilders to maybe offset the economy issues. Allocating the funds judiciously will be my primary focus to soften the economic impact. This concludes the economic analysis and overview. Hopefully that helps. Thanks for everyone's input. We can call the session over. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Might not, though. Treasury to invest in an effort to reverse economic downturn. And the good thing about having so much cash is we have 2 left over. So if the situation calls for it this turn, we can still make a purchase, I guess you could say. Topaz hit by a recession. Okay, so the game's getting to the end stages, saying, hey, it's time to consider. Abolish the House of Delegates. Ooh. The House of Delegates has long stood as a ceremonial body within Rizia's governance, comprising of 2 parties. It serves as a perfunctory role in the Rizian government. Many members of the nobility view it as wholly unnecessary. It calls for its abolition if surged, with advocates arguing a streamlined, efficient government leading towards an absolute monarchy. Well, that's what I was planning on doing from the beginning, so let's do it, even though I think this is going to get me killed. Oh well. All's well that ends well, right? Spontaneous protesters HOD closes. We will return, they said, the RPP. The reformists are saying, we're gonna return. It's only the nobles. We're gonna find a more effective way of representing the people. Wasteful House of Delegates no more. Good. Okay, Waylon. Well, here it is. Negotiations with President Smolak. Let's see if we can get it. We might not be able to.